Hi, it's Bob from Our Travel Adventures. Today I'm hanging out in Wichita. There's a Union Station down in Old Town Wichita, but I want to talk to you about our trip to Barcelona. We flew into Barcelona's main airport, airport code BCN. It's about 8 miles outside of town. Followed the signs through the airport to the Aerobus, and it got us downtown in about half an hour for €6 a piece. Dropped us right at the Plaça de Catalunya, which is kind of in the middle of the tourist area. It was walkable for us to our hotel from there, but it's also a big metro stop if you need to go further. We arrived before noon, so our hotel room was not ready yet. They did check our bags and promised to text us when they were ready for us, so we walked down the Las Ramblas a little ways to La Boqueria Market. It's a great place to pass some time and people watch. Expect big crowds, and it is quite touristy, but it's a lot of fun to see all the different items available. We picked up some paella and some chorizo sandwiches and called that lunch. Once we got checked in, we headed out to explore the Gothic Quarter. The Barcelona Cathedral, it's right in the main square as you enter the quarter. The square in front of the cathedral was a common area for live street entertainment. As you face the cathedral, just to the right is the Casa Lardisia. It houses some Roman ruins and it's free to walk through. The narrow streets of the Gothic Quarter held several surprises as we explored. From street musicians to tapas bars to wine bars to this bridge that reminded us of the Bridge of Sighs in Venice. Listen in on some of the street musicians. The Temple Roma de Augusta is another free stop in the quarter during their open hours, which was about 10 to 5 when we were in town. It consists of well-preserved Roman pillars surrounded by buildings. Next, we headed north into El Born to catch a show at the Palace of Catalan Music. This street sculpture caught my interest as we walked by. The theater looks grand from the outside, but you really have to go in to get the full experience. This theater was actually finished in 1908 and took just 3 years to construct. To get inside, you actually have two choices. One, pay for a tour, which you need to book quite a ways ahead of time, or buy a ticket for a show. We actually booked a ticket to the symphony for the night we were in town and really enjoyed the show, and they let us wander around the theater and take pictures and look as much as we wanted. After the show, we found a nice little wine bar in El Born and had some tapas. It was a great end to our first day in Barcelona. Day 2, we walked down Las Ramblas and enjoyed the street entertainers. Renee got a blessing from this angel. There were other living statues, musicians, dancers, jugglers, magicians, and many others. At the end of Las Ramblas is the Columbus Monument. It was built in 1888 for the Universal Exposition. There's an elevator that will take you to the top for great city views, but it was closed for refurbishment while we were in town. Then it was time to have our introduction to Gaudi. Our first stop was Parkway. We took the metro, which is really easy, inexpensive, and convenient to the tourist areas. Gaudi made his architectural mark on several places in Barcelona. He's known for his amazing tile work. This is the Gardiner Dragon. The tile work is expansive and one of Gaudi's trademarks. We had to get the obligatory picture. This is the pathway of columns. It almost feels like you're surfing down the perfect tube. The columns look round from the inside, but look like trees if you're from the outside looking in. Now we're in the marketplace. Look at the amazing tile work on the ceiling. The big pictures actually depict the 4 seasons and then lots of smaller work in between them. There's 86 columns and they hold up the terrace that's up above. This is, again, the marketplace, so you can just imagine the farmers and ranchers bringing in their goods for sale, setting up their carts and selling to the neighborhood in here. This mosaic's of the Catalan shield with another protector of the park sticking out of it. Is it a sea serpent, a snake? Who knows? Fanciful finishes and mosaics are everywhere. Pick a pattern on the wall. Which is your favorite? Maybe this is the first builder's showroom and they're showing you what you can get in your place. Who knows what it was actually meant for, but the mosaics are really neat to see. There are 2 houses that were finished in the park. Imagine if the whole park was filled with similar dwellings. You can tour the house on the left, and the house on the right is a bookshop for the park. Continuing our Gaudi Education Day, we next toured through La Pedrera. This is a house/apartment building that Gaudi built between 1906 and 1912. The front of the building is meant to resemble the ocean, so every balcony is different to keep the rolling look of waves. The interior courtyard is colorful. You can tour through several apartments, then end up in the attic, where displays show the history of Gaudi's career and explained how he discovered how to build arches to support the weight of his projects. The rooftop has 30 towers to ventilate the building or work as chimneys. You can see a large portion of the city, including the Sagrada Familia in the distance. It also provides a great view over the Eixample towards the Block of Discord. Our last stop of the day is at Casa Batlló. This is a house where Gaudi redid the exterior and interior spaces, but didn't design the whole building. We paid extra for the gold package at this house, which came with an audio guide, which was great, an iPad that was supposed to add some rooms and was really forgettable, and access to one of the apartments that we got to walk through, all furnished like this. One thing to keep in mind with all of the Gaudi sites in Barcelona is to reserve your tickets ahead of your visit. It will save you hours in line or the disappointment of not getting in at all. The Sagrada Familia. Just saying that sounds like it's going to be a great day. This is Gaudi's masterpiece, which is why we saved it for last in our Gaudi tour. He started working on this project in 1883 and continued until his death in 1926, never even getting close to completing his vision. He did leave incredibly detailed plans of his dream for the church, and they're still being followed today as work on the project continues. We rode the metro and ended up a block from the church. I would recommend getting there early. It is worth walking all the way around the outside to really take in the building. Each side of the church has its own character and architecture. The church itself highlights the life of Jesus as spelled out in the New Testament. The audio guide is extremely helpful, whether you are a proficient in the stories or starting from scratch to understand what you're looking at. The current entrance of the church is surrounded by the Nativity and the birth of Jesus. The inside of the church is about the miracles and other stories. The stained glass is amazing, and an early morning or late afternoon visit would give great sun for pictures. If you learn one thing from this video, please let it be to reserve your tickets ahead of time. This is an incredibly popular destination, especially if you would like to climb one of the towers, so it's imperative that you plan ahead and get your time and day reserved. This is a video they were showing. Notice again the murals and tile work Gaudi's famous for. You can actually see workers hanging around the towers completing this work. And here's a model of what the entrance doors will look like once they tear down an apartment building to have room to build the entrance Gaudi described. They're engraved with the Lord's Prayer in a bunch of different languages. Give us this day our daily bread. The pillars in the church are built to look like a forest. They branch at the top to provide support for the monstrous structure of the church. You can see they're also different colors. While pleasing to the eye, they're also built out of different materials to support different weights that would be on that column. As you exit, you're at the point where Jesus has his Last Supper, is betrayed, and then is eventually crucified and rises from the dead, finishing the story of Jesus in the New Testament. An easy walk from the Sagrada Familia is the Arc de Triomphe. It was crowd-free, and we enjoyed a drink with a view as we pondered the Sagrada Familia and looked forward to more of Barcelona past our Gaudi experience. Nearby is the Mercat de Santa Caterina. This market seemed much less touristy and probably a better example of a true market experience than the crazy Las Ramblas market. There's display after display after display. Cheeses, fruits, vegetables, meat and seafood. There's even prepared meals that you can buy to eat there, have a picnic. And then, of course, you can't be in Spain without olives. Lots of different kinds of olives. And they were actually even packaged that you could take them with you, vacuum packed. You could take them on the plane or take home. Our day ended with a tour of the Picasso Museum. There's a lot of his early work when he was still teenage or younger. and then his work from when he lived in Spain, before he really got to be famous. So it was really interesting to see some of this work from him. On our way back to the hotel, we ran into this festival and enjoyed some music. Our final day in Barcelona, we decided to get away from the city on a day trip. There's still plenty to see in town, but a break from crowds and walking seemed very nice. We chose a tour to Montserrat and really enjoyed the experience. The monastery is beautiful, and we got to see the Black Madonna before the crowds, then had time to tour the area. Our day ended with a tasting experience at a cava house and a tour through the vineyards. We'll have a separate video on this whole day if you're interested in more information. Cheers! Thanks for watching. Whether you joined us to get some hints and tips for your own vacation or just living vicariously through our adventures, we're glad you're here. Please hit the subscribe button and join us on our future adventures.